PTSD is a mental health condition that can develop after experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event such as combat, accidents, or violence. Veterans often receive VA disability benefits for PTSD when the condition is linked to the military service. However, a lot of times secondary conditions to PTSD are not talked about. In this video, I'm going to go over the 5 most common secondary conditions to PTSD. So, PTSD does have a big impact on veterans, right? You can secondary conditions linked to PTSD, and I'm going to tell you how to secondary these conditions, right? Because PTSD often leads to additional health issues known as secondary conditions. These secondary disabilities can develop as a direct result of PTSD or be aggravated by it, and then they can significantly impact you, the veteran, and your overall disability rating and compensation. Okay. We're going to talk about the VA rating criteria for PTSD and what we need to do again to establish secondary service connection. Okay. So, how does the VA rate PTSD for disability benefits? They use the general rating formula for mental disorders under the 38 Code of Federal Regulations, CFR 4.130, to evaluate PTSD claims. The ratings are from 0 to 100 with breaks at 10, 30, 50, 70, depending on the severity. Okay. 0% rating means PTSD symptoms are present but do not significantly impair daily life or work. A 10% rating means PTSD causes mild or transient symptoms that decrease work efficiency only during periods of significant stress. A 30% rating means PTSD results in occasional decreases in work efficiency. 50% rating means there is reduced reliability and productivity in the workplace with more frequent difficulties in social situations. A 70% PTSD rating causes significant occupational and social impairment with symptoms affecting most areas such as work, school, family, judgment, and mood. And 100% rating for PTSD results in pretty much total occupational and social impairment. Symptoms include persistent delusions or hallucinations, gross impairments in communication or thought processes, grossly inappropriate behavior, etc. Okay. These ratings for PTSD reflect the extent of functional impairment caused by PTSD symptoms and help to determine the appropriate level of compensation for you, the veteran, depending on your PTSD severity. So, how do we service connect something secondary to PTSD? To establish secondary service connection for a condition linked to PTSD, you have to show that your new disability is proximately due to, caused, or aggravated by your service connected PTSD. According to VA regulations in the 38 Code of Federal Regulations, 3.310, if a current disability is connected to an already service connected condition, like PTSD in this case, it can also be considered for VA disability benefits. So here's what you need to prove a secondary service connection: diagnosis of the secondary condition, service connected primary condition, so in this case PTSD, and you need medical nexus evidence. That means there needs to be a clear link or nexus showing that the secondary condition is either caused by or aggravated by your PTSD. This connection is often established with a nexus letter from a qualified healthcare provider who explains how your PTSD impacts the secondary condition. Look in the description of this video if you need a qualified healthcare provider and a good assessment on your condition. We definitely can help you out and point you in the right direction. To support your claim, use any medical records that show the diagnosis and connection between, let's call it PTSD, and whatever the secondary condition is that you are filing for. A strong nexus letter for a secondary condition is often the key to proving that link. Okay. So I'm going to go over 5 common VA secondary conditions to PTSD. Okay. Number 1, migraines secondary to PTSD. Migraines and chronic headaches are commonly associated with PTSD due to the heightened levels of stress and anxiety that veterans experience. Research indicates that individuals with PTSD are more likely to suffer from migraines because chronic stress can act as a trigger for headache disorders. Additionally, medications used to treat PTSD, such as antidepressants, may have side effects that include headaches. Veterans experience migraines may report symptoms like throbbing pain, sensitivity to light, nausea, which can severely impact your daily life or their daily life. Establishing a secondary service connection for migraines or headaches requires demonstrating that they are either caused or aggravated by the PTSD, which again, hint is needing that Nexus letter. The next thing is sleep apnea secondary to PTSD. Veterans with PTSD are at a higher risk of developing sleep apnea, a disorder characterized by repeated interruptions in breathing during sleep. PTSD symptoms such as hyperarousal, stress, and sleep disturbances can contribute to or worsen sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea is the most common form linked to PTSD and may require the use of a CPAP machine. Research shows that as the severity of PTSD symptoms increase, so does the likelihood of sleep apnea. The number three thing is GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease secondary to PTSD, often co occurs with PTSD. The relationship is typically related to the stress and anxiety with PTSD, which can increase stomach acid production and exacerbate digestive symptoms, right? Additionally, some medications used to manage PTSD symptoms can actually contribute to acid reflux. Some veterans may experience heartburn, regurgitation, or even chest pain. And if these symptoms are linked to their PTSD, which you need a Nexus letter for, you need to prove how PTSD causes that GERD, then you may qualify for a secondary service connection. GERD is usually rated under the VA's rating criteria for hiatal hernia. But here's something you need to know. Depending on the severity of the GERD, you need to make sure it's going to be worth you getting and paying for a Nexus letter. Because if you're going to get a 0 or 10% rating and stay at the same rating and spend money and go nowhere, it may not be worth it. You just need to find out and do the proper research on that. Okay. Next thing is number 4, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS secondary to PTSD. PTSD's impact on the body's stress response can significantly impact and affect gastrointestinal functioning, leading to IBS. Veterans with PTSD may experience symptoms like abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, and even constipation. The body's fight or flight response, which is commonly activated in PTSD, can disrupt normal digestion and bowel movements. Establishing a service connection for IBS involves showing that the condition is aggravated or caused by PTSD. And don't forget, you need to have that diagnosis. And number 5, this is where you can get some special monthly compensation for this condition. It's erectile dysfunction secondary to PTSD. PTSD can lead to sexual dysfunction, including ED, due to psychological factors such as anxiety, depression, and stress. In some cases, medications for PTSD can also contribute to ED. Research does show that veterans with PTSD have a significantly higher rate of sexual dysfunction compared to the general population. While ED often receives a 0% rating, you, the veteran, may still be eligible for special monthly compensation, as I just stated, for loss of use of a creative organ. Okay. So, very, very important. Migraine secondary to PTSD are number 1, sleep apnea secondary to PTSD, number 2, GERD secondary to PTSD, number 3. Number 4 was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, secondary to PTSD. 5 is ED or erectile dysfunction, secondary to PTSD. Those are 5 of the most common symptoms that you can file for secondary to PTSD. I hope that this video helps you out. Stay in the fight, stay going, continue to file for the claims that you need. If you do need a Nexus letter, a DBQ, or diagnosis, look in the description of this video. Like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell, share this out with someone that can use this information. And as always, I am a veteran serving veterans, and we thank you for your service to our country. Until next time, I am out.